Hey family, welcome back to Landline, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, culture. I'm your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper, and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. All right, so first and foremost, Viva Mexico! Thank you to President Claudia Sheinbaum. Those are two names said that way. I love it. What a great combination, but they got a new president. She's about to change shit for real. I'm really excited about that, but also I want to touch base on what the implications on that will be for the U.S. But before we get into that, I just want to say we had our first episode up. Yay! And I have seen your comments. Yes, the process has been a little bit janky. I just found out that I uploaded the wrong file. We could get into that. But first, I thought, you know what? You might need to know the story behind how we got here, and for those of you in the know, how we got from Sunday Sermon. So I thought I would introduce you to the Landline team. Why don't we all get on up here, roll on up here. All the folks on the Landline team, let's go. For those who don't have the visual yet, I want to let you know that
Hi.
One person rolled up.
It's me. Hi.
Yeah, this is Alyssa.
I love your story when you were talking from your colleagues who were with Spotify, and they're like, "Who are you doing the show with?" It's just me and Alyssa right now, and they're like, "Who the fuck is Alyssa?" You're like,
Okay.
I don't know.
So y'all have definitely mentioned the pace. Like we are doing 4 shows a week. It will be increasing. That's the thing. It's not like we're starting out at 4 or 2 decrease. We're starting at 4 and we're going to ramp it up. They'll be longer. But when it came to telling this story, I'm not good at it. So I brought in Alyssa to help, just like how she's here right now.
Yeah. Oh God. I was like, Janaya, I think it would be really good to get into your activism work and like where you saw a hole in that led you to think that this would be the best method of getting into activism, the best bang for your buck. And then I'm like, okay, start telling me about your activism work. They're like, I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't really, it's just like, it's so hilarious. So I'm going to like force it out of them, if you will. That's my role here today. Janaya, you really have a really impressive resume. Like, that's one of the really cool things that gravitated me towards you. Janaya and I got flown out to Edinburgh, Scotland for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where we lived on a historical nuclear bunker site
In squalid poverty.
In literal squalor. We shared a bathroom with like 25 grown men volunteers, muddy boots, like you're stepping in swamp dirt on your way to the shower, living in trailers. We didn't have to pay to go, which was nice. And that was my introduction to Janaya. So like we are trauma bonded for life.
Yeah.
And then just hearing about your story, I thought was just really fucking cool. So give people a taste of like where you've been, because I want to know why you're not still doing the same kind of work and why instead you're here losing sleep and doing this with me every day.
So first off, shout out to Alyssa. We'll get into that in a second. I did have to approach her like 10 times.
Oh yeah, but we did say no the first few times.
Yeah,
and so did a lot of other people. And I think honestly that's an important part of what we're doing. Yeah. Because it's like nothing good comes easy. There were a lot of people before. I tell you, I was not Janaya's first choice. There were people who...
You actually were the first person I talked to.
Are you serious?
Yes, because...
Shut up, don't flatter me.
Because you have the skill set of a showrunner.
Oh my God, shut up.
And because you're nuts.
You also didn't tell me I was going to be on camera today, so
I
now
did
I don't
not.
have foundation. You can see me blush. Don't do
really
this to me. I'm a porcelain baby. Don't do that.
I'll rewind it a bit. Like, look, I'm just a little guy with big beliefs. And like,
right.
This was really an evolution of Sunday Sermon. And the community, I'm just shouting out right now. Shout out to my penguins. But basically in 2020, we were just entering the pandemic, and I had just left Color of Change. So I had been doing all this like back end work after like 10 years of on the ground activism. So all over North America, Colombia, when, in a worker strike, living in Redfern, when I was helping with the Aboriginal people and they were coming into their own Black Power stuff in London, it was this whole world thing. And I wanted to be in a place like Color of Change to get this hardcore campaign work. And then I left thinking I had a plan, and then the pandemic happened, and I didn't have one anymore. So from there, quite Sunday Sermon and this whole community, this whole people I've met now who made this possible, was all accidental. I just kind of was annoyed at who was telling people what to do. I actually it was a bunch of, well, it's my show. It's our show. I can speak candidly. I was like, who are these biracials telling white people to go throw themselves in the line of fire? I was just like, wait, we don't need white people dying on the streets to like make a point for Black Lives Matter. And they were just and I was like, but I don't know you. I was like, I don't know you. Like, if you're going to be telling people what to do, I have been doing this work here in the States for long enough. Like, I would have known you at least through 2 degrees of separation.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, it was a lot of people who did not have the resume, who were telling people how to risk their lives. And I was like, you don't actually have to do that. Of course, there's direct action work, but those kinds of conversations you don't even have online.
Right.
You know?
I think if my own mom was like, I need you to risk your life, I'd be like, let me think about it. So now you're a complete stranger. That's a whole thing.
I'm like, there's levels. And it was a moment where, like, to be honest, Black Lives Matter had kind of had its massive movement, and we had already gone into all these other organizations taking what we had. So it was beautiful to see that resurgence, but then to have all these people tell people needlessly to do that, it worried me. So I got online in my underwear and I went, me, like and you guys this, and I talked, and I didn't think it would go anywhere, but it went mega, mega viral. And
it was probably the underwear. No,
it might have been the underwear.
Doesn't hurt.
We all are conditioned to listen to light skins online. So, but I did my thing. And from that, this beautiful community sprung where we kind of cared about things like nuance, which is not the most fun word. I don't know why nuance kind of doesn't slap, because the work does. But anyway, we grappled with trans rights, race, classism, sexism, gender, but the limits of it too, like we pushed back on the left. And so I was like, yo, we need to take this somewhere because, well, to just be honest with you, by 2021, after the death of George Floyd, it was really heartbreaking, obviously, and a lot of people saw that horrific video, and it opened people's hearts and minds. And it supercharged people saying Black Lives Matters, painting it on walls and maybe challenging policy. But by the next year, it happened that quickly. The infrastructure behind the scenes wasn't there to support the rise. And so when a lot of right-wing pundits, politicians and everything else came after the leaders of BLM, which, to be honest, there weren't that many at that point in time. Like, even I had moved on.
Right.
There wasn't a defense, and I realized we don't even have the platform to have this conversation in the way it needs to at scale. By that time, people were kind of moving away from politics already. You know how it goes. It's a wave, it's in and out. And I'm like, we need something that stays forever, that can have these conversations at scale. And that was the first step around this. And then, of course, all the stuff with Spotify.
Oh, my God, absolutely. And, dude, I think the thing... because you told me about this idea or the need for a show like this back a year and a half ago in Edinburgh. I can't not say it like that.
Was it a year and a half ago? Oh my!
It's like coming up.
It was like a year.
No,
a year and a half.
It was a half a year ago. Oh my God! It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it just happened.
Oh my God! It feels like so long ago and not long enough ago.
Yeah.
I'll get into my hatred of UK and Scott people later, but I think it was really cool how you were talking to me about the need for someone in this space at this volume to contend with all these other voices having a one-sided conversation in these echo chambers. You have your Alex Joneses, you have your Andrew Tates, you have your Candace Owenses, and there's people that already want to hear what they're hearing and are just getting radicalized and looped into that more. And then there's people like, young, impressionable, loser teenage boys that are just wandering around, perusing the internet. They come into this stuff and then they become radicalized because there's nothing really else there counterbalancing stuff. Like, sure, you have your Jon Stewarts and stuff that are making like fun punchlines off of the headlines that we're already seeing on Twitter. But as far as like meaty discourse that gets into the weeds, to be able to tip that scale so it's not just these one-note conspiracy theorists or just these kind of like lofty talking points of the left. Like, I was like, wow, there really is a need for that. And hence the demand to put out an insane amount of content every single day. The reason I told you multiple
Alyssa
times initially,
Yeah.
that's how I got roped, because I didn't want to do it. I told you, I'm like, 4 days a week, huh? No, at first I think you were like 5 or 6, and I was like, I think 4 might be.
Yeah, and that's
good.
just where we're starting.
That's just where we're starting.
And that's the thing is like, it's not a problem that these folks exist, even though it is a problem.
Just no one else is there to say anything alternative.
It's just that we don't have enough of those folks. And then the other thing is, we've seen them move from community to community, right? A couple years ago, they were going after BLM, this right-wing think tank. Then they were going after Asian people. Now they're going after trans people. They're running out, and it's not as lucrative. So what you're going to see, and we're already seeing it.
This is the part that got me crazy.
Yeah, is the shift towards center-right. The shift towards center-right. So folks like Candace Owens, and actually you've already seen it because she broke from the Daily Wire.
Oh.
Yes, so she is.
Did you say she was softening on abortion too?
No, I don't know that she's softening on abortion.
Never mind.
But never underestimate what a grifter will do.
Okay.
I'm curious to see if she will evolve and actually have some sort of values, because Candace Owens has actually been like a broken clock. She's been right once or twice, and that's the problem with, that's the danger with folks like this, is like, this is a black woman who is very compelling, regardless of how you feel about her. She's obviously very compelling to a population of people, who is occasionally right. And so when she says something, you're going to have progressives and Democrats who are frustrated, and these are like the weakest need people, who are going to be so frustrated with their quote unquote inability to, to feel like they can have conversations on the left, which they're annoying when they say it, but we also know it's kind of true.
Right.
They're going to listen and flock towards somebody like Candace Owens because she is branding herself as a truth teller. And I was like, actually, I know the hoes who be talking the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm one of them. And as a loser teenage boy that loves loser teenage boy content, I fucking love anime. I'm on Twitch all the time. Just like, listening to the conversations. But I picked up on the fact that even it's bigger than this far right stuff. Like, regular streamers, just regular dudes, because it's the status quo, just repeat really wild shit about trans people or about women or whatever. And I was like, I'm nosy as hell. I want to be up in this, and it combined with it. So look, I tried to make it work with Spotify. We were right there. It did, we were just about to be picked up, but then everybody got fired. Yeah, late stage capitalism.
The economy.
And it was going to have this like really brilliant production value. I was removed in a way, and there was a part of me that kind of wanted that, because I do struggle with public shit. I might be the only light skin that does. I love the stage, but
that's my job on this show. Is to be like, Janaya, post your face, please. Janaya, remember how you wanted to host a show? Well,
yeah,
get out there.
You gotta actually be the host.
You gotta actually see it's your face. You gotta do it. But that's honestly though. There's a lot of sociopaths in all elements of entertainment, and I'm sure. Sometimes, people want to like seem like they're doing the right thing. That's and do like quasi activism. And it's like, I would rather have to like kick your ass onto the internet and onto the stage.
And I
would rather have an activist that is too humble to want to like make it about me than someone who's like, let me change the world. Me and my thoughts will help you, peasants. Like, that's not what I wanted.
At this point, we're just like, let's just try to go out with our boots on.
And our boots are on. They truly, truly, truly are.
Yes. So, we're in this stage now where instead of taking it back out to market, and I was encouraged by, I have a team that will support me no matter what, but they were very clear. Like, and the team who was working on this too was like, this is a steal, take it back to market. People, this is great. And I learned throughout that process though that there's too much due diligence on what we can say or what we can't say or how to say it on the level. And I was like, if I want to do something that's for us, by us, it's got to be grassroots. And because of this like culture shock that we're all in this moment where nobody feels like they can talk about anything around anti-Semitism, around Palestinian rights, how that's impacting us here, and it's really conflated with all the virtue signaling and the cancel culture and everything else, and how we're using words in a really annoying, shitty way. I was like, not only am I not taking this out to market, I want to make it now. It needs to happen now. It was bigger than, it's bigger than me,
Absolutely.
And it's bigger than all of us. And so I, after like having these conversations with Alyssa, it's like, this is self-funded. Alyssa gets paid pennies.
I get paid in gratitude, right?
Yeah, she gets paid in gratitude and like future returns. That's
it's
it.
better that way though. Like I was just before this at my last job, I was working on the marketing team for Jon Stewart's show on Apple, The Problem with Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
He had to leave there. The man, Jon Stewart, the one who fought for our 9/11 responders to get what they deserve and stuff. He had to leave because they were saying, no, you can't talk about China.
That's right.
They welcomed him into their platform,
Yep.
saying, we want you here, John. Talk about whatever you want. Like, we love it. Leftism, woo. And they're like, whoa, you can't talk about China.
Yeah.
You can't talk. He starts like straight up saying he can't talk about stuff. And so that's why we're here doing it ourselves.
Wild way is the wild way. So we are building the plane as we're flying it. And you know what? There's a part of me that, again, I haven't slept. My eyes are bloodshot red. I am adjusting to talking into a mic and not being able to pull energy directly from people who are not, like now I just have Alyssa. But
I sit over there and I go.
Yeah, that's Alyssa's nodding, saying, yes, give us more, give us more.
It's so fun.
So just know that, this really couldn't happen without you. And I want us to have the power to do and say whatever we want to do and say when we want to. And I thank you all for like trusting me to be that person and to trust me to take us further, because that's what this is.
That is what this is.
Yeah, so...
Thank you so much, Janaya. I appreciate
thank
it.
You.
People talk about, the melting pot of ideas, and it sounds like such a bullshit thing that they say in like history textbooks, but it feels nice to be able to put some actual sauce in that pot.
Alyssa, what color eyes? Are those green eyes?
They are green eyes.
Yeah, Alyssa is blonde-haired, green-eyed.
Gross.
I'm whatever I am. Maybe we're healing the race war. I don't know. Probably not.
I'm here with a Nazi vampire today to
y'all
heal
already
the
know.
divide.
Identity can be your entry point in this shit, but it shouldn't be your exit point. It's about values and beliefs, and I'm dapping up Alyssa right now because
thank you.
That's so with the team's going to expand. The production value will get better. Shout out to Third Wheel Studios for just dealing with
Third Wheel.
Shout
out to Caden for doing our engineering. And on that, are you ready to talk some actual politics?
Get back to work. And shout out to y'all. But let me touch base for just a second, because we have, again, Claudia Sheinbaum, 61 years old, first ever female president to be, I hate the word female, let's just say woman president to be. That's so awkward. That's such an awkward thing to say. I haven't figured out how to wrap my head around that one. But I got to tell you, she won in a landslide vote, 59 point something, like basically 60% of the vote. That's massive. She's the first. She is the first there. And, yes, she ran a campaign as being there's a thing that some candidates have to do when people don't think they're that powerful, or they have to run as a consistency candidate, as in she's going to follow through on AMLO's policies and his populist ideas. That's Lopez Obrador, who was the former president. But here's the facts: she got more votes than he did by 5 million. This is a climate scientist, y'all. This is a lady with an agenda. This is somebody who's, honestly, I'm so excited and so curious to see what she does. I do want to do some level setting though, because as exciting as this is, and it is damn exciting, we got to take our wins when we have them, especially because we have fascism at the door to America. I want to say, just remember that cultural presence doesn't equal systemic power, right? And so they have gender parity. They're one of the only institutions where their Congress has gender parity. That's huge. And now we have a woman representative coming in at the highest, stage of the land. And just like we saw with Obama, though, that doesn't necessarily change policies in a meaningful way. During this time that they've achieved gender parity, we know, gender-based violence hasn't necessarily gone down. So I'm happy, I'm excited, but I'm watchful. One thing to note is that Mexico's Supreme Court in 2023 they just ruled that prohibiting abortion was unconstitutional. That's huge. They're like, if you want an abortion, you should get an abortion. You cannot prohibit that. So in a way, it's a country that I think a lot of America and the West looks down on. But they are leading what owning human rights-based governance could look like and should look like on multiple levels, even though we know that there's work to be done. This really mattered to me because we're at a time here in the U.S., and remember, Biden and Trump are about to go head-to-head. This is me like really just trying to find something meaningful to say that makes, I maybe that the sign might be the only thing that we have, but it is happening. And now that we have the Trump verdict, which is, he's been guilty on all 34 felony charges. Again, his indictment is about as meaningful as the C in indictment. And now you're going to see the Democrats and Biden come out swinging, and they're going to try to appeal to the center right. And Biden has said, "Oh, we look forward to working with this new president." And while she's saying, "Hey, we're going to protect all Mexicans everywhere, including across the border," he said, "We're going to seal up the border." Well, it is a crisis there, and I'm going to tell you that the crisis has nothing to do with people wanting to live a better life. The crisis has to do with our politicians and their mismanagement of crises that, honestly, America's bears a lot of responsibility for. If we're looking at, foreign policy in the last 10, 15 years in South America, in Mexico, and our influence on it, we have created situations where refugees and displaced people need to move. We've created conditions around starvation, around corruption. Nobody wants to leave their home. I don't want to leave my home. I love this show and I love this process, and I don't even want to leave my house to do this show. I love home so much. Nobody wants to leave home unless the most extreme, and I mean leave it for good. The place where your lineages are, the place where your family is, the place where you know where to get food at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody wants to leave their homes unless the conditions are so completely unlivable that they must, to try to find a better life. And so you're going to see all of our politicians, as they do with the Democrats, start talking about these hard lines on immigration to try to appeal to the center right. And I just want to say the center right doesn't exist anymore. You have good thinking people and you have fascism. That's it. And I'm not even a person that's like, there's good people and there's bad people. Nah, I'm not interested in that. If you are a thinking person, then you are a caring person. It's that simple. You know who runs on bias, or who ran on bias, I should say? Cavemen. That's where that part of our brain developed. It actually is such a beautiful, evolved thing to say, I want to understand what that person thinks and feels. That's actually the height of evolution. And I don't know what to say when we got two super old dudes running for office in one of the most powerful countries in the world. I say one of the most because we know this shit is ghetto as hell. They lost that right to say that they're the superpower of it, especially since you can't even take a hard line against stopping the bombing of children in Israel. Whoops. But all to say, like, we have these amazing, amazing moments. Take the wins where we can. But let's keep pushing and not get distracted around things like representation. So with that, you got a little breakdown about how we got here. I'm so happy that we got, I saw the comments. Y'all are honestly, thank God you love me, because that shit was janky as hell. It was my fault. I uploaded the wrong file because I didn't know it was the wrong file. I don't know what else to say. Just like, if you're here, just thank you. And it will, it's just going to get better and better every day. And, with that, just shout out to Alyssa, Kaden, just like the team or whatever. And shout out to y'all. On to the next, with that, let's hit me, hit me with the question of the day. Let's hit that voicemail.
Hey, Future, this is Zach calling in from Toronto. I was wondering what got you into comedy and what your joke writing process is. And also if you have any advice for someone who's just starting out. Thank you.
Heck yes. Shout out, Zach. I love that question. That's so dope. Look, I'll start at the end and then circle back. I got into comedy because I needed to. I was like, I just wanted to I had so much anger and I had so much passion, but also racism is stupid. And transphobia is stupid. And also being annoying and sanctimonious and being on a soapbox is stupid. And so I was like, man, I wanted somewhere else to bring all these like complicated feelings. But also, y'all, I'm a strategist at heart. I need you to know that I saw as we were moving in the show that we need to have more influence on culture, and we need to get away with saying more of what we wanted to say. I wanted to get away with saying more. I'm saying we, but I wanted to talk a little shit, to be honest with you. I think we have to loosen the valve because the pressure it just eats us alive. Like, pressure does produce diamonds, y'all, but that takes a really long time. Like, we don't have that long. Like, it's a short lifespan. But I wanted to bring some levity into our world. Like, that's part of the light that, activism is. And so it's something that I love. Also, I'm a yapper. I love being on stage, and it just let me tweak another area of just hoping to get better at this thing. So how do you become a comic? How do you do it? It's weird because you kind of just go to a place that does comedy, and you kind of sit there. It's like a boxing gym where the only way you can figure it out is just to be there. I tried to like look it up, and I watch videos. Here's some things that helped me. I read the Comedy Bible. It was so great in just breaking down what the premise of a joke was, what the punch of a joke was, and how a setup could be, and also just how to increase your stage presence. The other thing is just finding people who might be interested in doing that too. It's an open doors policy in comedy. Don't let any of these like weirdos like freak you out. Yes, you're gonna be around edgelords, but honestly, that's not so bad because when you hear their jokes and their weak material, you can use that to make yours better. I actually encourage all of us to do it and to be there more. And lastly, there are lists online. If you just look up, like, literally just punch in Google, like, open mics in Los Angeles, you're going to get tons of lists. I know a bunch, too. Comedy Bureau is a great way to just get in there quite fast. But anyway, hit me with the questions, or, hit me in the DMs if you want to know more. But the biggest thing was community. I found community there, and turns out that there's a lot of people who believe a lot of the things that I do and that you do in some of the weirdest places. And that's just it. Part of the job in movements isn't just to kind of expect people to come to you. You got to go to where people are, and you got to meet them where they're at. And that's what comedy really expanded me out and enabled me to do more. I love the protest stuff, man. Man, do I ever. I love being on a stage. I love a rally, but I know that not everybody's going to them. They say, what Tony Cade Bombara says, the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. I'd say the same thing is the role of the activist, and I know for a fact we're all multi-hyphenates at this stage, but what a beautiful question. And honestly, it's a difficult time. It's a lonely time, and if I could just circle back to the last point of why I got into comedy, I needed to just be around other people. I'm weird, and I self-isolate, and I get, I don't know how to talk to people sometimes, and comedy is a place full of weirdos, just like activists and artists. So, that's not, and that they're coming to this show, that's what this show is, but Landline is named Landline in part because we're all lonely. I'm lonely. Like, I got really dope, close homies. It took a long time to build them, but they can't pick up the phone all the time. I only got 3. So, it was really just about expanding that out. And, it's about breaking through the noise, breaking through the loneliness. And so, yes, we have this massive political mandate, but first and foremost, it's just about being here for each other. So, with that, I just want to say, shout out to y'all, and that's it for today's episode, On to the next. So, thanks so much for listening to Landline. Like I said, it means the world to us. It really is a labor of love. We deserve a better platform than the ones we've been given. New episodes drop daily. You will find it on Spotify right now. I'm working on the Apple stuff, but trust and believe it's coming. It's soon to be everywhere. I'm going to be adding notes and links for any references that I've made, so you don't need to do the research. I got you. Shout out to Alyssa and the whole Landline team, and shout out to you, the listeners, who make this all possible. Peace.